Well, how's it going? Welcome to the Wild West Farmer. If you haven't tuned in before, my name is Casey. I'm a farmer here from West Texas. We're about to start installing a brand new drip system here on one of the fields that my brother farms. It's quite a process. Got a lot of pieces, a lot of parts. So I hope y'all stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the video. Colby's here in the tractor. What we're trying to do is get the depth of the tape kind of adjusted on the plow before we put tape on it. You don't want to put your drip tape too deep. You don't want to put it too shallow. There's a happy medium spot. There he goes. Looks like we need to let the center link tighten it up a little and level that plow up and maybe raise the gauge of this. This is my brother and the master drip installer there. So they're going to hold these tapes as they go. That way they don't slip into the ground. So it's important that we get the depth of the point of our plow, the correct depth, and that way our tape goes through the field level. So you can see this wheel turning, tape's going through that shank, through those rollers, right out into the ground, into these furrows it's creating. This right here is a brake. See that nylon piece going there? You can set it to keep tension on this because you don't want back spoiling on you. That just rolls them tapes in. How many feet are on these tapes?
4,000. We can do 1.8 acres with 6 of them on here.
So it's a lot of rolls to do 65 acres. So they are cutting that tape, stick it back up in the plow. That way it doesn't hang on anything as he turns around. And that's what those little brakes up there I was showing you are for, is to keep those spoils from spoiling out. Tyler's gonna turn around and back to the other end they go. So we're about to have to change rolls and splice onto our hose, splice them together and run the new rolls in. This is going to put that tube inside this other hose and put it into the existing hose going in the ground there. He's got a wire tie. So these are the emitters on the tape, and it's important that these straps are facing up as they go into the ground. That way the water is getting emitted upward versus downward. You can get the tape backwards. They're gonna take off and go pretty slow and make sure everything feeds through with those ties. And then onward they go and just continually do this for 2.5 days. And this whole field will be done. Colby's been on this 8130 here, and what he's been doing is driving down each one of these rows, and that tractor packs that ground in and fills the voids up from where the ripper shank ran. You want that ground packed, and that way the water will expand throughout the soil. There's one other really important part to that, is that trencher comes through here with a big wheel or kind of a saw, and it cuts the ground. Well, when you cut the ground, you cut through the tape. If the tape is not tightly in the dirt, it'll pull the tape and it'll stretch it. So they got all the tape laid through the field. They got all the rows packed in the ground. Now they're running this big field cultivator and leveling this field out. Colby's sowing a cover crop. Get this thing so it won't blow. When they get this system put together, they're gonna turn the strip system on, which will then give these seeds a chance to emerge, come out of the ground. So there's a boatload of plumbing parts here. All these boxes are just full of pieces and parts. And these guys are starting to put it all together. They assemble it into pieces like this. That way, whenever it gets closer to the time to use it, the parts are all put together exactly the same. Everything's measured out. Everything looks really, really nice and good. At least that's the plan, right?
Yes, sir.
But very professionally done, thought through. All these parts are ordered and everything has its place. So most all these parts they're assembling here will be buried underneath the ground. So it's important that everything gets put together good, because if you have a leak, you have to manually dig that up and fix those leaks.
So this here is a chain trencher. It's going to cut a 20-inch trench. Well, that thing looks bad to the bone now. Maybe y'all can see that. These chains go through the ground, cut it. The dirt gets carried up. The dirt then hits this conveyor belt and they'll shoot out the side. And they're going to trench on top of that tire track there. That tire track is straight to the other end of the field. Once they get this trench in there, they'll throw this pipe in the hole and then they'll start connecting the tapes.
So once they get all the pipeline laid in the trench, they're going to come through here and they're going to split these zones. You can see the flag right there. This is the separation in between zone number 1 and zone number 2. There's going to be 16 zones on this farm, so there'll be a lot of these flushes. This is what they're putting together earlier on the trailer. So corresponding to the row, to the tape on the other side, this will be 1. This will be 2, and it'll continue to go through the whole field all the way to number 16. Okay, I'm going to give you all an example of what they're actually doing with the trencher here. So this is going to be ground level here. Okay, the top line. This is going to be the trench that the trencher is digging. The drip tape is already buried in the soil, so this dotted line is going to represent the drip tape. So once they get this hole dug, it's going to be roughly 20 inches wide, and it's going to be really deep. They're going to stick the pipeline in the bottom of the hole. Then they'll come in with a drill and they'll drill a hole in the top of this pipe every 40 inches that corresponds to a drip tape. They will then place a grommet in that hole, just a little rubber bushing to keep this from leaking. They'll stick a riser tube in the top of that, bring that riser tube over, and then they'll connect it into the drip tape. When they do that, they have to take a shovel and they'll actually dig this out right here and kind of make a shelf, I guess is what you would call it, of hard dirt here. And this dirt will then become exposed. So the drip tape and the riser tube will overlap one another, and they'll put a tie right here. And this ensures that there's no leaks in between the riser tube and the drip tape. He's got a whole bucket of grommets here that he's sticking in the holes. And that's how you properly install a riser tube. So this is what the end product's going to look like. That's what he's working on right now. He's cutting that tape off real clean. He's having to trim this tube off at an angle. He'll spray it with some soap where that tube will slide in there. Slips it in. He gets the angles the way he wants them. And then he'll stick a wire tie
right around there. This wire tie is really important to get just right, so you don't have any leaks. And boom, 600 more times, he'll be done.
Keep going.
So I'm on the flush end of the drip system right now. They got everything tied in and installed the way it's supposed to be. We are now filling in this trench with some dirt. We're gonna come back, we're gonna water pack this. That'll help the soil settle down. We'll have to farm perpendicular to this trench this year and cross it. So it's important that we get this dirt firmed in the best we can. That way we don't bust any pipes or damage any tubes. Drip is a very efficient way to utilize the water that we pump out of the ground. By placing these tapes underneath the soil and watering the field subsurfacely, we lose little to no water to evaporation. This allows the plants that are growing in the ground, their root structure, to grab that water very easily and uptake the nutrients from the soil to grow up and produce a healthy growing environment for that crop. So we like to use drip in the cases that we can, because it's just super effective and we see a lot of yield increase where we use drip. The header side is what supplies the water to the actual field. First of all, we've got 16 zones going across the field. The flush side is what they've already put together, and these little lines right here represent the flush valves that y'all seen earlier in the video. Now this is the supply side. So we've got our water source, the wells, coming in to the drip filter station here. These two circles represent the filters that will clean the water before it enters the system. Once the water is clean, it's going to be distributed between this pipeline, and this pipeline. These pipes are going to supply the valve bank right here. Each zone has its own valve with its own pipe. So as you can tell in this Christmas tree type of a pattern here, the first valve is going to feed zone 1, second valve will feed zone 2, and the third valve will feed zone 3. And then it repeats the process. Same way over here. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16. This drip system is set up for running 5 zones at a time. This controller here will be set and programmed to run the first 5. Then number 1 will turn off and number 6 will turn on at the same time. And it'll just cycle through in a looping pattern, 1 through 16, 1 through 16. And this keeps an even and uniform water program going through the field. This is what the valve bank is going to look like. It's got a series of the 6 valves. The water source comes into here. It applies even pressure on each valve until it's opened, and then the water will go through, goes down and into the pipe that feeds the drip. Pretty cool little valve bank, looks really good. Like I say, there'll be another set that looks just like this on the other side of the field. We need to be able to adjust the pressure within the drip system. The drip system's designed to run under a certain pressure. With having a lot of zones, if you were to add an additional well, you might need to run 6 zones or 7 zones. That way you maintain the pressure that the system's designed for. Right here is one of the zone transitions that corresponds with the flag. So they got it capped. That's the end of whatever zone that is, and then the next one will feed, and that'll be its hole to correspond to the tape. So he's back again. He's adding a grommet. Just a rubber bushing. Sticks it in the hole. Puts the riser tube on. So they're gonna throw dirt back in the hole. They got these little hooks that they'll use to hook that pipe and hold it. That way the dirt don't collapse that riser tube into the hole. Well, they got the drip all running. Got a barn put up. Looks really nice. Just a little shed there to keep the sun off everything. The water coming in. Got a hot shot. Pretty cool. It's the inside of the drip shed. Their controller got everything wired up really nice. Water comes in, goes through this set of filters. Looks like they got some extra flags to put out to mark leaks and stuff with. Got a clear pipe here where we can see the water going through it. And then got the water comes out right here, goes out to the zones. Pretty cool setup. Looks really nice. Did a good job. Just like that, guys, the whole system's installed. Big shout out to South Plains Valley and everyone involved with putting this drip system in. Every piece, every part is got to be done just right. Thanks to my brother. We're out here on his farm. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you're looking to subscribe, you can click that Wild West Farmer logo there in the corner of your screen. And I'll see you next time. Appreciate it.